in the dream world, yeah, I usually don't stay awake in the dream world. It's very blurry and whatever. I don't even know what the heck I dreamed about. But this particular dream, my true self and my intuition came through. It's like they wanted me to be awake and be aware. And in the dream, there was like this, also so that I could remember it when I woke up in the physical. And in the dream, there was these like screens. They look like TV screens, but they look like maybe 10 inches by 15 inches, something like that. And there was two of them. When I looked at one of them, it started to expand, but then another one came in front of it, and something said, no, this, you need to watch this one. This is more necessary for you to watch it. And I said, okay. So as I'm looking at this second screen, all of a sudden it became big, like a, big flat screen TV. And as I was looking at it, all of a sudden I went into it. When I went into it, I saw this cave. This cave had like maybe 15 feet high, 20 feet wide, and it's extended like what looked like half a mile or a quarter of a mile long. And in the middle of the cave were these black squares. They were like 5 feet by 5 feet, and in each corner of the squares had little chairs, like for children. And then, so there was 2 rows of them, and the squares were like maybe 3 feet high. And so I then saw that there was a little boy and a little girl and a little boy and a little girl, and I was one of the little boys looking at being in there. And we were very, very bewildered, and I could tell that the other children were bewildered too. It's like I could hear their thoughts. And we were all thinking the same thing, that how did we get here? Where's our mommy and daddy? Why aren't we in our bedrooms? Little things like that. But we were very fearful too, like, what is this place? Then as we all looked around, we could see these ghost-like figures. They were transparent, and they were wearing what looked like pajamas, men and women. The only thing was that their faces looked like creatures or monsters or ghouls, and they're floating around aimlessly. And then all of a sudden I noticed that there was this, because the way they were floating, I looked up and I could see that the lighting in that cave system had the lighting that you would see in a barracks or a warehouse. And the electrical thing extended all the way like 1/4 or half a mile long of that narrow-looking cave. Then I also noticed that there was this man, that he was dressed like the 1960s. His clothing was like 1960s, but he had a military-like presence, like he was standing in attention. And he was very serious and very, military-like, but he could also move really fast, and he seemed to be guarding the children from these ghost-like figures. And then as I'm looking, I see one of the ghost-like figures. They came really close to me, but they passed me. And the sergeant man said that ghost-like figure touched you. And I just shook my head saying no. And then it went after it, but I could not turn around to look where it was. And even my personal self that was in a dream could not turn around to look, like, what was he doing? But when he came back, the other ghosts, they left. They, floated away, and he was just standing there, looking at us, and we're looking at him. So all of a sudden, I went inside my little boy self body, and I was looking through my little boy self eyes. And the man now was like maybe 15 feet away and maybe 7 to 10 feet in the air. And also, I saw something that looked like energy, a wave of energy, and it was spiraling around his feet, and it was going up his legs, and then around his legs, and then his waist, and then his chest, and then his neck. When it went to his neck, it was like he was being forced to say something. And he looked right at me with a really serious look, like had that military sergeant look, and he said, "You, with the purest of white light, you will be given the dragon." And I thought, wow, what? And all of a sudden, I popped out of my little boy self, because my little boy self started to have this brilliant white light that I didn't know he could do that, but he popped me, by doing that, he popped me out. And then the dragon head was right next to my aura, my bright white aura. And it was kind of like 1/4 in. His head was like 1/4 inside my aura. And I thought, well, if I have this brilliant light, why would it do that? But then after that, I my little boy self started crying, saying, "I don't want to hurt anybody. I don't want to hurt anybody." And over and over and over, he said that. And the other children, I didn't notice what the other children were doing at that time, because I was like traumatized by this. I know that my little boy self is just seeing a monster. He's not seeing that it's a dragon or whatever. And then the dream ended right there. And then I woke up feeling very bewildered, confused, like what the heck was all that about? And I also felt tired, like I ran a mile, tried to run a mile. And when, as I was making my herbal tea for that morning, all of a sudden the screen came back right in front of me, and I'm wide awake. And in the screen, I could see the cave, I could see my little boy self, I could see the bright white light my little boy self is extending, and I could see the dragon head inside my aura, like halfway in my aura. Then, let's see, after that, oh, yes, then I got I don't know how this happened, but and my little boy self is still saying, he's still saying, I don't want to hurt anybody. And so I started thinking, well, I don't want to hear that. But before I could finish the thought that I don't want to hear that, it was put on pause, so I couldn't hear that. Then my intuition came forward, or my true self, both of them, and they said, you need to look at the dragon head. You need to look at it more closely. And as I looked at it, I was looking inside it, and inside it was something like a ball or a sphere, and there was this powerful cosmic energy flowing in and out, in and out. And I thought, well, this thing can exist anywhere. It seemed to be made for the physical realm as well as the psych realms. No matter what dimension it was in, it could exist because of having that kind of cosmic power flow coming from something that looked like a sphere or a ball. And then I also noticed that it did not have any ethics or principles or morals at all. It did not have labels about good and bad, right or wrong, holy or evil. It didn't think that way. It would just do whatever, and that with no regrets. No regrets. It would just do whatever. So it didn't have those human labels at all. It didn't even dawn on them, but I could also feel that they were kind of like immortal. Then after that, I thought I was through in looking at this dragon head, but then my intuition and again my true self said, no, you need to look even more closely at this thing. So I did. I looked at it, and then I noticed that below the head were shoulders, and below the shoulders was arm. And I thought, oh my God, this is not, oh my goodness, this is not a dragon. This is a draconian. And I thought it was really strange that I was so calm and so centered. I did not feel no fear. I did not feel no threat. I did not feel no danger. None of those things. And I thought that this was something like an ally, some sort of guardian or something like that. But my little boy self is just seeing a monster, and he's still crying. I don't want to hurt anybody. So when I saw that, all of a sudden I was in between both of them. I was in between my little boy self and the draconian. And I immediately got the thought that I need to teach my little boy self to sing a song, because I know he knows about singing songs like Jingle Bells or Happy Birthday, even though he doesn't know what those words mean. He doesn't get the whole concept, but he knows how to sing songs. So I told my little boy self, to start singing the song that it would protect him from the monster. And so when I showed him how to do it, he started doing it on his own. And then all of a sudden I got the thought to turn around and look at the draconian and tell it the same thing, to start singing the new you. And it did, but I couldn't hear it. But what I saw was this brilliant white light coming on the draconian's head all the way to its waist. When it did that, he became kind of like transparent, and these bubbles surrounded the body of that same brilliant light. And then I looked down at his feet, and the light then started going from its feet upward to the waist area. And again with the bubbles of light too, along with the brilliant white glow of this energy. And then when from the head to the waist and from the feet to the waist touched, it's like a big ball of brilliant white light was shining with little bubbles of different sized bubbles of light surrounding it. Then it got bigger and bigger, and then it dispersed. I don't know where it went or what happened, but it dispersed. Oh, and then I gave my attention to my little boy self, and we both sang the new you together. And his aura was a little bit different, kind of like an egg shape, but not quite, maybe oval. But then it got as big as the height of the cave, and then I got the intention to gift the children that might be there, even though I didn't see them. And I also didn't see the sergeant man at that time. I don't know what happened to him. And so after gifting them, and then that's when the whole experience finally really ended there. But this is kind of like part one, because there was other things that happened, but this is part one of that experience. Okay, thank you.